just being in that idea of abundance, which is a limited idea, it can feel pretty normal to think, well, I've got to earn it. I've got to trade my time and hard work in order to get something that I don't have right now that I will then have, at the end of the workday or the end of the work week or the end of this investment period or the end of my struggle time. And that energy of earning it has an inherent emptiness in it, doesn't it? Right? It's like I don't have it now. I got to do something. Then I'll get it. Then I'm going to spend it. Then I'll be depleted. Then I got to find it again. Another part that can feel challenging is that I've got to work to get it. And this was one of the cloudy places for me in my own abundance journey was, oh, you can have what you want if you work hard and struggle. Like I kind of came up in that idea that if I worked, then I could finally be the worthy and deserving. And so for me, I've had to learn to embrace my creativity, my natural engagement with life. I'm I enjoy coffee and football and living. And I've also really been blessed by understanding I don't need to do one more thing in order to be worthy. So that's another place where it can get stuck. And earning, working, deserving based on being a good boy or girl, about working hard or having certain skills or having a certain kind of privilege or background, all of that can feel so burdensome. And I bring it up because I don't want to lose the power of that pain, whether you're experiencing it dynamically and vividly right now, or whether it's a memory from the past, or whether you notice it in our brothers and sisters and communities here in Scottsdale and in the world. To be truly in living the mission of this community and living whatever personal mission you have means that we do not turn our back on the challenges of the human condition. Okay. And so I'm going to invite you into a 15 to 30 second experience of the UGG pain. And I'm going to ask you to do something kind of physical, sitting at your seats to experience the UGG pain. But here's what I want to tell you. It will be over soon. Okay. Yeah, it's always like UGG pain that's over soon. It's not bad pain. So this is completely optional. But if you're like, I'm willing to experience some of the discomfort so that I can let it go for myself and for the world, join me. So we shake our hands. And I am trusting now that we've got the folks at home. Are they all connected up? Awesome. So we shake our hands and then put them up a little bit and just do this the best you can. Let your hands come still. And go ahead and place your hands on the top of your head and slightly push down with your fingers. And then take your head and just look down slightly, like a 15 to 20 degree angle. And then, with the pressure on the top of your head, bring to your mind every financial concern, whether it's about the government or the economy or your personal experiences or what's happening now, what's happening later, what should or shouldn't be happening, any financial mistake you've ever personally made or anyone around you has made, every opportunity that feels lost, every betrayal you've ever had, every person you see who appears to be in lack, and just let yourself have those thoughts and the feelings and press down. We're only going to do this for a few more seconds and just feel it. And release. Shake it out and let those thoughts drift away, but let that experience stay. So what were some of the feelings that you were having while that was happening? You can just, a little interactive, you can call them out. Anxiety, thank you. Anything else? Sadness, fear, heaviness. Absolutely, thank you for that. So anxiety, fear, heaviness, sadness. And it might be that for some, you've maybe felt neutral, you've felt inspired to do something. But whatever energy that you felt what I want you to know is the reason I bring that up is because if we have even the tiniest bit of anger, resentment, fear, sadness, heaviness, burden, overwhelm about our money lives, which in many ways represent our abundance lives, it has a cost for us. And that cost is mostly painful in that it is what's called an opportunity cost. You see, if you've got heaviness, you don't have the lightness of being of creativity. If you're feeling fearful and sad, you may be missing out on the opportunity to give your gifts and contribute to others. You may feel your energy is drained and you're not as productive or as of service or in the possibility of creating and contributing at the spiritual center, in your work, in your family, in your neighborhood, in your community. Upset about money and the feeling that we're not worthy or experiencing abundance costs us. And when it costs us, it feels like a limitation to the truth. Now, there's a lot of research that shows that when people are called to make a change in personal and spiritual growth, that 80% of people are motivated by getting out of pain. Have you or I ever been one of them? Is it just me? Okay, so it's not just me, but it's like getting out of pain and discomfort is an okay motivator because it will motivate us to have a shift, to have a change. So who would like a change? Is it 80% of the people in the room? Okay, all right, good. So the good news, we've had this image of the is that there's a spiritual principle that even when we're feeling ugh, is activated. And that spiritual principle is the principle of unity. And so we use an image here to represent the unity, which is the circle with the heart in the middle of it. So the circle represents no beginning, no end, eternal, unending, infinite. And then the heart represents love. And this is a version of the science of mind teaching symbol. And so some of you are new to the teaching. Science of mind is a 100-plus-year-old tradition, which is part of the New Thought, Ancient Wisdom traditions, founded by Dr. Ernest Holmes. Science of mind is a correlation of philosophy, why is life the way it is, science, the laws of being, and ideas from religion, the ideas about the nature of God. It's a correlation of those things, and we'll often refer to it as this teaching because it's very much ideas that are found across religions and across metaphysical teachings. So that's why, in many ways, a center like this has books from Deepak Chopra, and someone will read from the Upanishads. And this morning in the meditation, the reading I had included Socrates and Jesus and Atman. So that's why all of those things are there. And the science of mind, basic principle, is the unity or oneness of all life. That the God, creator, infinite spirit, abundance, is a presence that is omnipresent, everywhere present, that is omniscient, all-knowing, all-wise, all-intelligence. And what's the third? Omnipresent, omniscient, omnipotent, all-powerful. Thank you. I feel like you might win the raffle thing later. Okay. Because if you can pull omnipotent out on a Sunday morning, all-powerful. So if that's the nature of life itself, we, made in its image and likeness, you'll hear we're emanations. Some a beautiful, from many religious teachings, it's we're children of, we're expressions of this one infinite presence. So we reproduce the nature of the divine. And that circle is like a symbol that includes, the abundance is already there. And then in the center of it, we reveal the spiritual truth by tuning in and connecting with the greater, by then believing and affirming that it is the truth of us. And because the law of life, which is the other main principle in the science of mind, replicates our consciousness, we then have experiences that reflect the truth of the divine. So let us take, you were great about going with me into the UG energy. I want to give you, would you like to have the limitless energy? Of course you would, yeah. So let's do a little bit of we'll do a 30 seconds with the limitless energy. So go ahead and shake the hands. And I know that the folks who are tuning in virtually are doing it too. Raise the hands up. And in this case, turn your palms slightly open and upward and tip your chin ever so slightly up and soften your gaze, but really send it out into the horizon. And give a big, deep breath in and release it with an ah. And just feel, can you feel a mystic chord of memory within you? So call to mind a moment of spiritual uplift or joy. You might have felt it when Craig was singing, or when there's the prayer, or you've had this with companions or art or out in nature or in spiritual practice. Just call to mind a feeling of oneness with something greater and see beyond current circumstances. And can you be willing to be willing to be willing to believe and know that there is something greater, that the limitless is possible? If so, say yes. Yes. Beautiful. All right, give a smile and a little and we'll come back. So yeah, shake that out. And let's call out again. What feelings or thoughts emerge? Joy, lightness, hope, peace. Yeah. So those vibrations, joy, lightness, hope, peace, are ever present within us. And they're a reflection of this idea that there is something limitless out there that's also in here, that is the truth of us. And we will do an important distinction about understanding. And that distinction is the spiritual source and material channels. And I like to bring this in because it kind of helps from the mystic, limitless truth into our lives. So there is one infinite spiritual source, and that source is God, Mother, Father, Creator, all giving, eternal, all loving, all supply, deeply intelligent, sufficient unto its own. Like that spiritual source, it never leaves us, it's always with us. It's the truth behind any of the things of this world. Now, this world has material channels, little m, little c. So material channels are fabulous. They're things like good-looking, generous lovers. I hope you have many. Material channels. There are things like, like 1 million followers, or a bestseller, or a real estate portfolio that you bought at the right time, or a job that's secure forever. I'm putting air quotes in that because what you're starting to get, you know where this is going. Material channels are things that are of this world that can be wonderful, but by the nature of being of this world, they have beginnings, middles, and what else? Ends. Material channels come and go. So even the most fabulous, good-looking, generous lover, someday will, there'll be some transformation in that relationship. And you'll come crying to your spiritual center. I don't know. But there's always, we laugh, but it's like, who hasn't had the secure job forever that, of course it changes, or, we bought residential real estate not at the right time. We've always had that experience because we get it. Material channels are good while they're good, but someday they'll come and go. And here's the important distinction. If we think our spiritual security comes from a material channel, we will always always be worried and nervous because we realize we are seeking amiss. We realize that that material channel cannot give to us what spiritual source can. And so the ironic place to find our worthiness is not by saying, look at my fabulous car, fabulous spouse, big portfolio, many followers, I'm such an influencer. Although those things might be wonderful, they are not the truth of your worthiness. What's true about your worthiness is the extent to which you know your oneness with spiritual source. So that is like the primacy of this message, is that to live abundantly is to know that abundance comes from a connection with something greater. Now, what's really important is that you already are it. You don't have to do one more thing. You do not need to get one more of those good-looking, generous lovers, although I feel like this room might be, who knows what might happen. But you don't need it to be worthy of abundance. And so that's my real message for you all. And I'm going to bring it into the living it with a quote from Wallace Wattles. So I was so touched that Reverend Jill and the community is choosing this book, The Science of Getting Rich. So I love this quote from Wallace Wattles. He says, and I just, it has that classic ring to it. Whatever you habitually think yourself to be, that you are. You must form now a greater and better habit. You must form a conception of yourself as a being of limitless power and habitually think that you are that being. It is the habitual, not the periodical thought that decides your destiny. It is the habitual, not the periodic thought that decides your destiny. So this to me is a version of the idea, that our thinking creates our experience. That's the law that, look at your life. And if you are dissatisfied, look to your consciousness because your experience of your life is controlled, is within the dominion of your consciousness. And the fact that it is the habitual, not the periodical, to me, I just found something in that I felt was fresh, which is the way we get habitual thought is by the consistent practice of these eternal spiritual principles. So the last slide image I have for you is, this is you and me as we practice what is true. This is you and me as we anchor in to prayer, to fellowship, to spiritual study, to listening to music, to reading, to monitoring our thoughts, to seeing what conversation we're in, to giving spiritually and financially to places that uplift us. Like, is my practice creating a sense of remembering my worthiness? So our final little mudra that we'll do, a little movement is, so we've been down, we've been up. Now shake your hands out and come join me here and bring them to your heart center and just tune your energy within and make an inquiry and a commitment to spiritual practice this month, to living abundantly because you're worth it, because of who you are spiritually. And now what I'd like you to do is just take your hands and open them and give a little bit of that love to the people here in the room, to those who are joining us virtually, to those who will see the recording of this, and just feel that when you remember your worthiness, it's a blessing to others. Yes? Yes. So how beautiful. We live abundantly because we are worthy. Yes. So let us bring this to prayer. All right. So how good it is for us to have come together for this beautiful practice of exploring the truth of our abundant living. And we now anchor with an affirmative prayer, a spiritual mind treatment. And I begin by opening my heart and mind to recognizing the infinite presence of God, one life, omnipotent, omniscient, omnipresent, everywhere present, all intelligence, all love, all power, all supply, that this is the truth that is sourcing all beings, all places, now. And remembering this truth of me, it is an honor to recognize that this is the truth of every beloved being here at the Centers for Spiritual Living, Scottsdale and beyond. We are part of brothers and sisters and beings and people throughout space and time. We unify with the greater with such love, respect, and appreciation. And out of this, I make a claim. I pray. I accept for this community, for all of us, a deepening in our practice of abundant living through the discovery and rediscovery of the truth that we already are worthy, whole, complete, deserving, and that this practice together makes a difference. Our hearts and minds are opened with love and supply. Our givingness is quickened. Our capacity for making a difference expands. We are leaders, lovers, givers. And I am so grateful for this. So I give abundant thanks that this prayer is operated upon by a law that says yes. What we say is so by right of consciousness. And I release this word into the perfect action of the law, letting it go, knowing it is done. To anchor this prayer, together we say,